wake up and reach for your phone before your eyes are fully open, not because you decide to, because your hand already knows. The morning keeps moving without checking in with you. Water runs, lights flip on, tasks line up in your head, already waiting. Somewhere in all of this, a quiet pressure shows up, not stress, something softer, a low hum of obligation. You're doing what needs to be done. Still, something feels off, like you showed up late to your own day. This feeling has a name: automatic living. Most people think routines exist to save effort, to make life easier. And at first, they do. What most people don't notice is this: the same routines that protect your energy can slowly take your attention. Not suddenly, not dramatically, just enough that choice turns into reflex. The brain likes predictability. Repeat something often enough, and it stops asking questions. Decisions turn into habits. Habits turn into shortcuts. Less thinking is needed. It's efficient and almost invisible. Once something becomes automatic, the brain stops checking in. There's no pause, no quiet moment asking if this still fits. The routine keeps going because it's moving, not because it matters. This is the first trap. Efficiency replaces awareness. You notice it when time feels flat. Hours pass. Very little stands out. The day feels full, but empty of memory. Nothing went wrong. Nothing really went right. There's nothing broken about you when this happens. Your mind is doing exactly what it was designed to do: save energy, reduce effort. The issue isn't the routine itself, it's the missing reflection inside it. Without awareness, routines stop serving you. They start leading you instead. They set the pace. They decide what gets attention. They decide when the day ends. And they rarely ask how you feel about it. This trap doesn't announce itself. It feels like productivity. It looks like responsibility. Sometimes it even feels like stability. But underneath, there's a small distance. You're moving through life smoothly, watching yourself do it. That distance is the signal, not a warning, just information. And once you can name it, you can start noticing where it appears each day. After a while, you begin adjusting the routine, not on purpose. It happens quietly. You shave off minutes. You stack tasks. You listen to something while doing something else, so no moment is wasted. On the surface, it makes sense. It even looks responsible. Life feels full. Time feels tight. This is where the second trap starts to take shape. Time compression. Most people don't notice when it begins, when speed becomes more valuable than experience, when time turns into something to beat instead of something to live inside. The mind shifts toward endings, finished emails, completed chores, that small relief of being done. The present moment turns into a hallway, something you pass through, not somewhere you stay. You feel it in small ways. Waiting for water to boil becomes irritating. Walking without a destination feels pointless. Silence feels incomplete. Nothing is wrong with those moments. They just aren't helping you move forward. Slowly, the brain learns a pattern. Calm feels like delay. Rest feels inefficient. Stillness feels like something to get through. The routine tightens. Days feel shorter, even though nothing changed. There's a quiet sense of being behind, even when you aren't. This isn't loud anxiety. It's softer, a mild urgency with no clear cause, a constant readiness to move on. The nervous system stays slightly awake, not panicked, just unable to fully settle. Again, this isn't failure. Your mind adapted. It learned to survive in a world that rewards speed and output. The trap works because it looks like productivity. You're doing everything right, just too fast to feel it. As time compresses, meaning thins, moments blur together. You remember what you did, not how it felt. So a strange thing happens. You become more efficient and less satisfied. The signal here isn't exhaustion. It's restlessness during rest. The feeling that you can't fully arrive, even when nothing is required. That restlessness isn't asking for more effort. It's asking for a slower internal clock. Not forever, not dramatically, just enough to let moments exist without needing a reason. There is one more trap, woven even deeper into daily routines. It's harder to see because it feels personal. The third trap feels different, more personal. It shows up as self-criticism woven into routine, small judgments. Why am I tired already? I should be more focused. Other people handle this better. This has a name: internalization. Most people don't notice when it happens. When routines repeat without reflection, the mind looks for a cause. And the easiest place to look is inward. The brain prefers stable explanations. If the same day creates the same fatigue, it assumes a trait: lazy, unmotivated, disorganized. The labels feel helpful, even when they're wrong. Over time, outcomes turn into identity. Low energy becomes a flaw. Mental fog becomes incompetence. The structure fades from view. Only you remain to blame. This is where routine turns personal. The trap tightens because self-criticism feels like control. If the problem is you, then fixing it feels possible. Try harder, plan better, optimize again. The routine stays the same, only the pressure grows. You might notice a quiet defensiveness, needing a reason to rest, hesitating before stopping, as if pausing requires permission. This isn't self-awareness, it's self-surveillance. Constant evaluation keeps the system slightly alert. The body stays ready, muscles hold tension, thoughts loop. There's no clear threat, but the sense of being assessed never fully turns off. Again, nothing is wrong with you. This develops in places where output is public and recovery is private. You learn to measure yourself by what can be seen. The signal here isn't failure, it's guilt without a clear cause, feeling undeserving of ease, feeling watched, even when you're alone. When you notice this trap, something shifts. The criticism loses certainty. It becomes a reaction, not a truth. You don't need to silence it. Just notice where it comes from. Routines shape feelings. Feelings shape self-stories. And sometimes the story is simply inaccurate. These three traps are connected, not as problems to fix, but as information. We can move there slowly. No effort required. Just a small shift in attention. From judging outcomes to noticing conditions. From blaming yourself to observing systems. This gentler stance doesn't change the day. It changes how the day is carried, quietly, without asking you to prove anything. When you place these traps side by side, a pattern appears. Automatic living removes awareness. Time compression removes presence. Internalization removes compassion. None of them are loud. They don't interrupt your day. They ride inside it. What most people miss is this. These aren't flaws in your behavior. They're signals from a system running without feedback. Routines are built to repeat. Humans aren't. Energy shifts. Attention drifts. Emotional capacity expands and contracts. When routines ignore that movement, friction forms, not enough to stop you, just enough to wear you down. The quiet exhaustion you feel isn't asking for escape. It's asking to be acknowledged. Awareness brings choice back into automatic systems, not by breaking routines, by loosening them, by allowing brief contact. This doesn't mean redesigning your life. It means noticing one transition, one pause, one moment where control returns, briefly. Often, it's right after a task ends, before the next one begins. There's usually a gap there, small, easy to miss. That's where awareness lives. You don't need to use it. You don't need to improve it. Just let it be there. This isn't mindfulness as performance. There's nothing to reach, nothing to fix. It's simply noticing you're moving from one thing to another and allowing yourself to arrive. When awareness returns, time stretches slightly, not in hours, in texture. Moments regain edges. The day feels less flat. Self-criticism often softens too. When conditions become visible, blame has less to do. You start to see the pattern. Fatigue follows compression. Restlessness follows speed. Numbness follows automation. These aren't failures. They're patterns. Seeing routines this way doesn't erase them. It makes them flexible, responsive. You're no longer inside the routine. You're beside it. The shift is gentle, almost underwhelming. But gentle changes are the only ones routines accept. There's one final piece. A way to close the loop without fixing anything, without adding effort, without turning awareness into another task. It begins with how you read the signals themselves. The signals were never asking you to improve. They were asking you to listen. Automatic living was asking for contact. Time compression was asking for presence. Internalization was asking for kindness. Not solutions, orientations. What most people miss is this. When a signal is understood, it often quiets on its own. Not because the routine changed, but because your relationship to it did. You may still reach for your phone in the morning. You may still move quickly through the day. You may still feel tired by evening. Understanding doesn't erase these things. It removes the confusion around them. And confusion is what drains energy, not effort, not responsibility. When you stop arguing with the signals, they stop needing to get louder. There's no instruction here to slow your life down, only an invitation to slow how you interpret it. You can notice when a routine is running you instead of supporting you, not to stop it, just to see it. You can notice restlessness without trying to fix it. Let it be information, not a flaw. You can notice self-criticism and ask a quieter question. What condition produced this feeling? Not what is wrong with me. These questions don't demand answers. They create space. And space is the first thing routines take away. That's why the relief feels subtle. It doesn't arrive as calm. It arrives as permission. Permission to be affected. Permission to be inconsistent. Permission to feel the weight of repetition without turning it inward. Nothing in your life needs to look different for this to matter. The shift happens inside, unseen, unmeasured. Over time, awareness returns to the routine, not as a practice, as a posture. The day still moves forward, but you're no longer chasing it. You're moving with it, close enough to notice when something feels off, close enough to adjust without force. If this felt familiar, you're not alone. These patterns are common because they're learned, and what's learned can be gently unlearned, not through effort, through understanding. You don't need to fix your routines. You only need to stop disappearing inside them. That noticing alone is enough. You can stay there. There is no next step.